The moon and stars hid behind the thundering clouds as rain plummeted from the blackened sky, too afraid to shed light to the wilderness below. Within this maze of giant trees, flowers, and wild things that shall not be named, a tiny speck moved. A horse like creature, dark and feathered, raced through the woods with a hooded figure mounted. The lack of light and occasional beaming strikes of lightning failed to deter the determined traveler as he zigzagged through the muddy terrain. A blinding flash of light, unlike any other, took the rider by surprise. A light so brilliant it turned the forest into day for but a mere moment before quickly fading into a brilliant white blue bolt of lightning. Seemingly frozen in place, the rider's creature clambered and whined. Even though he knew that they ought to flee, the rider, unhindered, adjusted the creature that he rode and continued towards the baffling phenomena. The rider eventually arrived at the edge of a monstrous pocket that must have been home to many trees and forest life just mere moments ago. Smoke and ash both rose from the newborn crater. The lightning at the center had static, visibly dancing and jumping like sparks from a burning furnace. Cracking sounds, once hushed by the heavy rain, became almost deafening to the ears. Undeterred, the rider dismounted the circa, the bird-like creature, before gracefully walking down the ashy terrain. Despite the extreme temperatures and polarizing light, the rider stretched his right hand towards the lightning. The ground suddenly began to shake, and the lightning rapidly flickered before suddenly disappearing. A sudden cry surprises the rider. Is something alive here? He wonders. For the first time in a very long time, the rider felt fear, a fear so immense it shook the rider to the core. One day the rider would remember this fear and wish that he had silenced the creature that he had discovered that very day. Instead, the rider had stared in amazement at an infant cradled where the lightning once was, frozen mere moments before, and wondered, how can this be? Chapter 1. I slowly shook his head in frustration, shoving another cup of water my way in the process. Let's take you outside for some fresh air. He hesitated. Or can I just drive you home and we call it a night? No way, I exclaimed. I'm fine, man. Trust me, bro. Slurred words escaped me long before my brain could register. Why are you so stubborn? He murmured, trailing off before I gave him a friendly push towards the hallway. I stumbled through the corridor behind him until we reached the heart of the party. This must be the lifestyle I hear college students always rave about, with pride and joy beaming through their smiles. I looked around and my sight was filled with a blurry vision full of tongues interlocked, liquid haze-filled cups, bodies attempting to merge, an avant-garde room of drug-induced sex-crazed teens. The living room was crowded with varied shapes, dazzling array of vibrancy and colorful, infectious young energy as Trap Bear's new single, Revelant, resonated through my body. I don't remember when or how I lost Eli, but I casually slipped into the chaos, body and mind taken by the pulsating beat. I don't recall how long I was dancing before I bumped into the angel of death. She looked somewhat familiar. One side of her head was almost completely shaved and dark. The other half was short and pink and pretty. Her lips were dark, probably smeared with black lipstick. She looked like someone from the 21st century. Very retro. Even in the dark, I could tell she looked tired. She looked annoyed at me and was about to walk off the dance floor when I reached my hands out towards her. She didn't look interested in dancing. It seemed as if, when she just continued walking away. I was about to tap her on the shoulder when a random hand grabbed mine. What the fuck you trying to do with my girlfriend? A voice said from behind me. The hand that was grabbing mine. I began to rapidly sober up. Sorry, bro, I was just about to apologize for bumping into her. I held my hands up peacefully while turning towards the voice, the boy. He was built like a twig. I could easily beat up this kid. He had glowing light blue, disheveled hair. I could definitely take him out. Probably with ease, too. Sorry, I blew her. I blew him and her a kiss. Mischievous. I don't even know who I was dancing with or for how long, but at some point I was slumping towards the back garden. I felt a little bit dizzy and started heading off towards the back garden for some fresh air. I was sweaty, feeling sick, and sobering up. The worst combination. Bodies scattered everywhere. I searched for an empty pocket of space where I could sit for a bit. Fuck, I wish I wasn't feeling this shitty. I stared at the sky for what seemed like an eternity. I'm not sure how long I sat there. Probably with a dumb look on my face. I was still tipsy, but I could work with that. I want to make sure tonight is going to be something special. While getting up, I noticed Silver. Her blue eyes stood out against her pale skin, her curled, dark brown hair barely reaching the nape of her neck, a white dress draped over her petite frame, barely reaching her knees. She was laughing and being playful with a boy. Wait, Eli? His platinum hair fell just over his eyebrows, and it stood out against the dark sky. He stood over Silver. He always looked scary, not someone you want to even try to fuck with. Just ask Drew, man. Eli's tatted neck and right arm contrasted his pale skin. His eyes were small and dark. With his faded pink hoodie, ripped black jeans, and basketball shoes, he stepped towards and whispered something to her ear. She started laughing and he smirked. He fucking smirked. Eli smirked? I couldn't stand anymore, so I went back inside. My head was all over the place and I must have still been pretty drunk as I crashed into this random girl and spilled her drink. I started to apologize when I realized that it was the girl that I bumped into earlier. It turned out that the guy from earlier wasn't even her boyfriend. It's just they've been friends for so long and he gets very defensive about her. I guess I don't really get it, but she turned out to be pretty cool actually. I discovered that her name was Blair and we went to the same preppy school. I don't recall seeing her around, but then again, I'm pretty new. And most people only started noticing me when I started hanging out with Eli. Eli started like 2 weeks before me, and I don't know what I missed in those 2 weeks, but he became pretty notorious. Blair was like super emo. I don't think I'd ever associate with anyone like that, to be honest, like beyond maybe a quick hookup. But looks can be deceiving. She's a big nerd. We talked about the types of genres we prefer when it comes to reading comics. I'm a big romance dude myself, but she's more of a gory and action girl. I even cutely begged her to dance with me so I could show off my less than average moves. She eventually conceded and we danced for what seemed like an eternity. At some point during the dance, we started making out, and for a short moment, nothing else in the world existed. It was just the two of us. I have to go, she said softly, before turning and leaving suddenly. I stood on the dance floor, bewildered. Then everything just happened so fast from there. I was staring at Blair leaving, and then I heard screams outside. I rushed out to find Silver pushing Eli's chest and a guy on the floor, blood-stained t-shirt in tow. Silver looked angry. This was the first time I've ever seen her like this. She dragged Eli away towards Eli's car. We came together. I looked at the guy on the floor and it was Blair's friend. And Blair was standing there. asking him if he's okay. I I couldn't really look at her. So I followed Eli and Silver. I stopped near the car and just watched. Eli was expressionless as usual. That's why the smirk surprised me so much. He stopped looking through the windscreen and began looking at her eyes. I could sense an intense vibe. I couldn't move. Frozen in my spot, I remained, watching everything unfold before me. The party host and the boy that has been chasing Silver for the past year and a half, Juke. He stormed past me and knocked on Eli's car window. Eli looked extremely annoyed as he slowly lowered the car window. "What happened?" Juke asked. Eli just stayed silent. Silver was trying to explain to Juke that this boy was trying to hit on her. And he was kind of forceful. And Eli just overreacted and punched him. Juke was very apologetic. Despite him being kind of a douchebag, he's still a pretty solid dude. I mean, nobody talks bad about him. He's kind of nice to everybody. It's kind of weird, but they talked and talked for a while. And Juke even offered to give Silver a ride home, but she turned him down and said it's okay. She'll keep an eye on Eli because she still owes him a thanks for helping her. And they have to wait for a friend anyway. And they're gonna head away. The friend that they're referring to was me, but me and Silver weren't friends. She's just the girl that I've been madly in love with since middle school. So one of the reasons why I even transferred to this preppy school and worked so hard in the first place was to potentially be with her. I don't know what I was thinking. Now that I got here, everybody's so smart and it's so hard. And all I've been doing is essentially studying. But hopefully with this, maybe I'll get to know her more. But how come her and Eli seem so close all of a sudden? I've been at the school for 3 months now and I've never seen them talk before until now. Why is my closest friend, at least in the school, and the girl I'm in love with talking? Why do they seem so friendly? Did they have an argument? But he's new, like me. And he came from a completely different city. He's not even from here. I'm still kind of surprised, but maybe it's just the drink, maybe it's the alcohol. I probably just need some water. Just as I turned to head back to the house, my phone started ringing, and it was Eli. "Where are you, dude? We're about to leave, man. Some shit happened, and look, just get over here, man." I looked at my phone, stayed silent for a second, and just whispered back, "Okay, I'm on my way." That was how the three of us first created a memory together. Unfortunately, now, one of us is missing, and it's Eli. Thanks for listening to an excerpt from Bomani World End. I'm not sure if that's the final title, but Bomani something. Yeah. Thank you.